Two women, two different experiences with food stamps. Meet Stacy, a nursing student ready to graduate from NEO, already lining up job interviews. Rewind 3 years ago, she was a domestic violence victim, homeless in a women's shelter with her daughter.
It's been something that I don't have to worry about. It is that necessity to eat, to have food at the house.
And there's April. She works at Watered Gardens as an administrative assistant. Rewind 4 years ago, she was a single homeless addict with 2 kids.
I used them to access my drugs, my alcohol. I would sell them or trade them back and forth for other drugs. I wouldn't use them for food most of the time.
Working at the Watered Gardens Rescue Mission, April says she still sees the trading of food stamps. Mission Director James Whitford says food stamps are a temptation for those he helps. More than 50% of the chronically homeless here are dealing with some sort of addiction or substance abuse.
To see food stamps being liquidated or sold on the streets at 50 cents on the dollar is a very difficult thing to watch happen. Not only is it misuse of resource, but it's causing a perpetuation of an addiction cycle in people's lives. And so we see continued poverty and continued homelessness as a result of a temptation that's really provided quite easily.
But here at Economic Security, where Stacy found help, officials say there are requirements, not just in signing up for food stamps, but to stay in the program.
I have to put in 30 hours a week, either with searching for a job, working, or attending class.
You're not going to go in there and leave with benefits. That's not the way it works. You apply and have to reapply each year, but each 6 months you have to recertify to see if your situation has changed.
Both Stacy and April say they received more than enough food stamp dollars to feed their children.
$800 to feed 3 people all month long? That's an abundance of food stamps. So my cabinets were never too bare. They were sufficed. It would feed us, but $800 is an abundance of money to feed a family of 3. I think I feed my family right now on $400 a month, and there's 4 of us.
In fact, a family of 7 with no income gets more than $1,000 a month. Those working get less. Numbers, Whitford says, lead to dependency on food stamps. Economic Security case managers disagree.
If there are, it's a very small percentage of those folks. Nobody really likes to be dependent on all that stuff, but you got to eat. So when it comes to the food stamps, that's just quite necessary.
It's more along the lines of the low income and no benefits in this area that makes it necessary for the families to have food stamps. You want the families off food stamps, give them better opportunities to actually support their family without any assistance.
Stacy believes she can do that after graduation.
It was very humbling to go in and ask for that help, and I am very excited about not having to need those once I become employed as a nurse.
But April says it was hard to give them up since they're accepted so many places, from restaurants to convenience stores.
Anytime that we went anywhere in the car, my kids would say, oh, let's stop and get a Coke, or let's stop and get a sucker, or let's get some candy, which was probably one of the hardest things to break my children of whenever we got off of food stamps, is because you can't have everything you want.
But she did it with mentoring and emotional support, not simply financial for food. Whitford and others believe charities, churches, and private funding can help more like April. He's suggesting an alternative to state welfare called the True Charity Initiative.
And it would be good to start with folks who are already being fed at local missions and other places where they're getting hot meals, and there's much more of a temptation to sell food stamps.
In Joplin, Lisa Oliges, KOAM News. Zelda Hopkins is 60 years old and disabled. Rewind. 15 years back, working as a nurse, a stroke stopped her career.
And by the time I'm through with paying my house payment and all the utility bills, there's nothing left. So I am addicted to the food stamps because that's the only way I survive.
Zelda can't work, but others on food stamps can. April now works at Watered Gardens, where many of the homeless and hungry are served. She was once addicted herself to drugs and alcohol and food stamps, and says with 2 kids, it was scary to stop taking them.
I wasn't sure about my cabinets, if they were going to be full or not, but the Lord provided, and they were full. They are full to abundance. And it was just a matter of learning to be stable. I've got to get up. I've got to go to work every morning.
April says there's a better way than welfare for those who are able.
I think the key to changing my mindset was just realizing that I'm taking taxpayers' dollars, and they're not consenting to it. They're not saying that it's okay to feed my family, and that I knew that I was a grown woman who was physically able to work.
April didn't do it alone. The pastor at Impact Life Church helped her with her addiction, and the Whitfords at Watered Gardens became mentors. They say those connections are a key to true charity, rather than giving government-funded handouts like food stamps.
So we know it's a runaway welfare train. Love you. If we're going to help the poor, we've got to become relationally involved. We've got to learn about who that person is. We've got to get close, and we don't get close through welfare. We get close through charity.
And if you come to the church maybe to get your weekly food basket, maybe you get to know someone there, maybe you get involved and that helps you spiritually, and maybe someone in the church helps you get a better job, and we just think that's a better solution to get that involvement in people's lives than the government sending people a check or a debit card.
So Alcorn says he is backing the True Charity Initiative, a plan to ask lawmakers to defer a portion of the homeless population away from food stamps to a group connected through Charity Tracker.
You know, it alerts us all to kind of watch how we're helping him and what we're doing.
55 local help agencies report to an online system that tracks how money, food, and clothing are distributed from pantries like Crosslines, so recipients don't double dip.
They go from one place to another, and we're able to actually know if people are just using and abusing a system.
This gentleman has 158 assistance records.
Charity Tracker shows 46,000 are being helped in Jasper County.
29,000 food assistance records. Those are numbers that make you think, heck yeah, we could probably feed our own.
Whitford wants to try, starting with food drives of healthy items to be distributed at various agencies.
Those who advocate for food stamps say there are transportation issues that can keep the poor from getting to food pantries to receive food or to get there at specific meal times.
It would be impossible. They can't go to work, they can't go to school, they can't get their children to and from childcare and still make it at those allotted times where they can stand in line and ask for food.
100% increase.
Whitford says the cost of Missouri's food stamps program has doubled from $60 million to $120 million in 5 years. Supporters say charities can feed the poor efficiently.
I think the current system is unsustainable and we can't afford it.
And while supporters say the True Charity Initiative doesn't require work for food, a goal is to restore a sense of dignity by offering the poor a way to give back.
And what we want to do is say, hey, you've got something that's good. You've got something in you that our community needs.
April agrees.
It makes me proud to walk into the grocery store and to use my hard-earned money to buy groceries for my family and then to go home at night and make them a nice dinner knowing that I provided it.
In Joplin, Lisa Oliges, KOAM News.